Okay. What is going on? Jay, what is up? First one on at 6 Pacific on the dot. I'm not muted, so that is 2 streams in a row. I did not forget to unmute myself. Oh man, I love doing these lives. They're really, really fun. A little nerve-wracking, but enjoyable nonetheless. I'm just checking, making sure everything's all right. Jay is just deciding dinner. I'm doing all right. Just went for a walk, me and the kind assassin. What did we do? Well, I got some coffee. We went for lunch, happy hour, got some exercise, all of that stuff. So today, kind of my format is usually talk a little bit about the topic that's posted in the thumbnail, which usually takes around 20 minutes. And then after that, whoever's on, we usually just BS and talk about anything in general. But did I post on Patreon you're going live? I did that last time and no one showed up. So, and I did it public. And I have 30 free subs and I don't think anyone there showed up. Kind assassin needs to rethink a career choice. I think she's doing okay, but the last few times I started a little bit later. I think I started at 7. I went 7 to 8, and then another night I went actually 7 to like 10:30. But yeah, I figured try to talk a little bit about X-Men 97 since it just ended. Some things that we liked, if there was anything we didn't quite like or thought could be better. Things like that. So I'm looking around, the stream looks good. My stream health is excellent. That's all I could ask for. All right. The assignation job? Oh, I get it now. I got it. All right, so I guess I could get started. Jay said, check Airbnb, one of the icon experience. Oh, I did see some people went to that. I think it's in upstate New York as well. I gotta check that out. So I guess let me get through the X-Men 97 portion quickly for Jay, who is on, and anyone who watches this later. This was my first foray into pretty much X-Men animation. I never watched the original. If you watch my reactions, I think I said that a million times. You know, I've seen some of the movies. I know I saw X-Men Apocalypse and I saw Days of Futures Past, and I think I saw the Wolverine. I think I've seen most of them. I just don't remember them very well. So most of my memories of X-Men have come through the live action movies. I don't think I've read many of the comics, probably none. So again, X-Men 97 was my very, very, very first X-Men experience, pretty much. So overall, what did I think of the season? I will say I absolutely loved it. I think storytelling wise and character wise, it was probably close to an 8, 9, 10 out of 10. Like, I can't see anyone not liking the season, like in general, because I thought it was really good. Of course, there'll be people who didn't like it. Not everyone likes everything, but I thought it was really, really well done. I can't go back and say, oh, let's compare this to the series that was out in the 90s, because I didn't watch it. So if you watched the 90s series, you know, I'd want to know from you, what did you think of like the comparison? I did see like some highlights of it, and I really loved how they kept the animation basically exactly the same. It's a little bit clearer because it's in HD, you know, but they didn't upgrade the animation. They didn't upgrade the uniforms for what I know and stuff. Like everything looked 90s, everything sounded 90s. So I thought that was pretty awesome to keep it grounded and not feel like they moved it, you know, into the future. Like the way they talked, some of the things that they say were 90s, like pretty much everything Jubilee says is 90s. So that was really neat. So I gotta say, I really did enjoy it. I liked the villains because I always enjoy when Marvel or DC or anyone puts out a show or a movie and they have villains that I've never seen or heard of before. And for me, not really being into comics as a kid, pretty much they all are. Besides, like, I know Superman, Zod, like things like that, I know because they're so popular. Spider Man, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, things like that. The big ones, obviously, I know. Um, so when it came to this, I have no idea who Bastion was, and I had no idea who Mr. Sinister was. Um, so going through the series, I was immediately connected, not like villain wise, but just personality, I guess, and character wise to Mr. Sinister. Dude, I don't remember if he was in any of the live action. I don't think he was, but when you have a villain like that, this like you got to use him. When they bring the X-Men to the MCU, Mr. Sinister I think needs to be in it because I know he's not like Apocalypse, obviously, so he's not like the Thanos of the X-Men. But he seems like a really badass villain. He's out of control. He's nuts. He doesn't care about killing anyone. Um, he's just like great. He's not just a mustache twirling villain. Like he's scary. So to bring him to the MCU would be amazing to me. And now this is kind of interesting since now I've watched an animated version of something first. This might be the first thing that I can compare once it gets to live action. And I've said a million times, the reason why I love all these movies is because I don't watch it and say, damn, that wasn't like the comic book I read because I didn't read the comic books. So I could watch these movies for what they are, the movies, and not compare it. So now when Mr. Sinister hits the big screen, I'm gonna have something to look back on. And if he's not this villainous, I might just be like, all right. What else did I like about this? I liked all of the characters. I didn't know much about them in general. I feel like they did a really good job with Magneto more than the movies did because this Magneto, again, was, you know, he tread the line of good and bad to me in the beginning of the season when we all thought Professor X was dead and he passed the X-Men to Magneto. I feel like he was trying because his main goal and Charles's main goal, they just take different approaches, is to like save the X-Men. Charles wants them to integrate, basically. We all know that. He wants everyone to live in harmony, which is never going to happen because there's always people who hate mutants. And then, Magneto, he feels like the X-Men are above humanity and he doesn't want to necessarily kill us. he just he doesn't want to be bothered. I feel like he just wants them to be secluded in their own place, taking care of themselves, like saving themselves so they could flourish and not even worrying about the humans. Like, save yourself. You have the Avengers for that. That's kind of the vibe that I got. Again, it's just my first watch of the season and the series, so you could tell me if I'm way off. So I really enjoyed their dynamic, Charles and Magnus. It was just a lot of stuff going on that was crazy, like Charles getting into Magneto's mind in the last episode, like crazy stuff like that. It was nice to see Jubilee. I know a lot of people talk about her and they've wanted her in live action, and she's a cool character. I didn't know that she was 17 throughout the X-Men series. I thought all the X-Men were a little bit older, but she turned 18 in the show, so that was cool. I'm just a little confused about certain things when it comes to her powers because like they display them as being fun, quirky, and stuff. But how powerful is she? Like, what else can she do besides throwing firecrackers, pretty much? I'm sure she has more powers than that, but maybe since she's so young, she either hasn't unlocked them or just hasn't trained enough for her full potential. I don't know. This was my first real look at like Rogue and Jean Grey, because I do remember them from the movies, and then I went back to look at like the pictures. The person who played Rogue didn't even look like Rogue, so that's kind of funny. Like why you would take a character so iconic as Rogue, the way she looked and her hair, and then change it for the movies. That looked kind of weird. Wolverine. who doesn't really like Wolverine, but I'm kind of glad, like a lot of people said, that they didn't put Wolverine in the forefront because, as I've learned, and many people have commented, the X-Men are a team. No one's really, I mean, Professor X is the leader, but no one usually outshines the other. And since we've gotten so much Wolverine in live action and we're getting him in Deadpool, that he kind of took a back seat in certain aspects. Like he wasn't really leading the charge, but I did get to see a more softer side of him that I don't remember seeing in the movies. Um, so I kind of really enjoyed that, and I would love to see more of that when we cast our new Wolverine in the MCU. Um, who else did I liked Morph. I had no idea who Morph was, but again, that's a character that's really cool, but I need like some sort of explanation to like how long he could stay as a character and does he get that character's powers for that time? Because if he could stay for a while and he gets all of that character's powers, then Morph is like an S tier hero. He's as powerful as whoever he could turn into. So I know he turned into the Hulk in the middle of the episode. So it just leads you to believe like, and it's hard to like not call things plot holes, but if he could turn into anyone, like how do you lose? I know he maybe his energy gets drained when he turns back, but like if you're facing someone who's not like a super like an apocalypse, like a smaller tier villain, all you got to do is send Morph. Can't Morph turn into Apocalypse or turn into like Bruce Banner or the Hulk again or Iron Man? And I don't know. It's just one of those tricky things. Um, Scott, Cyclops, he's fine. I think everyone loves him, but I didn't really. I liked him as a character, but I didn't really see him as being like the predecessor of Professor X, like leading the X-Men. To me, he's not a good leader. Um, Only mostly because I don't think he wants to do it. And again, it's just the series. It doesn't seem like he wants to. Him and Jean Grey, I mean, I feel like they feel like their relationship is more important since they were the first X-Men, and they're older now. Like they want to pass it on. That's what it seems like. But again, it doesn't seem like he wants to do it. Um, And then my favorite character. So when it comes to who I felt should be the leader of the X-Men, like if Charles dies or when he passes it on, from episode one, 100% Storm. To me, Storm is by far the best character in this show. And she, to me, was kind of wasted. Like, I don't think they really did much with her. I feel like they kind of fridge Storm and Wolverine because I don't see how the X-Men would have been stopped if they were fighting the whole time. Episode one, she loses her powers, and then she's like trying to find them for 5 episodes, and then she comes back. And I think episode one was the only time she really fought. From what I remember, like she was at fights. So you could say, oh, if there was something going on in the background, maybe Storm was doing it. And people have told me that she's not super OP, like she's not a god, when I feel like Storm, from what they showed us, is the closest you could be to a god without being a god. Like if you could harness weather, you are pretty much like unstoppable. Because you see how dangerous in real life, no pun intended, a storm could be. A rainstorm, a hailstorm, a tsunami, tidal waves. These are deathly tragic events. Like if there's a tsunami, a lot of people die and a lot of destruction happens. And that's not a tsunami that is like targeted to a certain area. Like she could control the water. Well, maybe not the water, but the rain and electricity, lightning, thunder, stuff like that. And it looks like the wind. Like you could do a lot of damage with that. So if you have someone who is like crazy powerful and you need them to stop, like can't Storm theoretically freeze them? Like create an ice storm to freeze them, at least contain them for a little bit. Like I don't want to cheat and make her like OP where she could just beat everyone on their own. But in this series, she definitely could have white Bastion by herself. I don't care what anybody says. If they let Storm fight, they wouldn't have needed anyone for Bastion. Probably Mr. Sinister. That dude was on another level. But what did Bastion really do? To me, anyway, like he had a plan. It was really, really similar to Age of Ultron. And I love Age of Ultron, so I like this. But it was, again, Sentinels, like robots, androids controlled by him. So you defeat him, you defeat the robots. Um, so I could see how it's hard to put stories together with the X-Men like this when Magneto is actually the OP hero slash villain, because you have to take him out of the equation if you have metal involved. Because if he wasn't unconscious, they'd have no shot. So it's a little bit difficult when you have these heroes because their powers are so unique that you have to kind of write certain stories certain ways, so you can't say, oh, why did the villain even get this far? You know, so it's like, okay, Wolverine was knocked out and Storm didn't have her powers for half of the season. Um, so what are you gonna do? But I really, really enjoyed that character. So I definitely have to go back to the originals. I want to watch some stories and episodes where Storm kicks ass. So if you're watching this, let me know in the comments below what episodes I should watch. Even if it's a comic book, I could find it online and read it, because I need to see her kicking ass. I was really disappointed in the finale. I'm not disappointed that Jubilee got a chance to shine. Like, that's not why I'm disappointed. It was cool that Jubilee was able to basically square up with Bastion in a fist fight, right? Because she did it. She was like hitting him with those firecrackers, and he even busted a joke about it. But Storm didn't get a chance to do anything. She was just standing there. I'm like, what is the point of her in this season if you planned on like not doing anything? So again, I kind of liken it to a lot of people who watch the Avengers in live action, and they'll say, oh, what do you need the Avengers for? Hulk could defeat all of these villains on his own. Hulk was nerfed, or they don't know how to use Hulk. If you say that, then you can't be happy with Storm in this season. Like, you can't. It's the same exact thing to me. And after like talking about this, I am not mad at either. I'm not mad that Storm wasn't OP. I'm just upset that I feel like she didn't do anything at all. Because when Hulk fights, yeah, I don't want him to beat everybody by himself. That would be boring. I like when he gets his ass kicked, you know, and then comes back later and as a team they defeat someone. That's sort of kind of what happened in Age of Ultron when Scarlet Witch messed with his mind. Like, he was defeated and then they all came back at the end and won. So here, okay, in the beginning of the season, she took a bullet for Magneto. She was defeated. I thought she would come back at the end and be like the hero to help save the day, but they didn't really do anything. So that's just why I was a little disappointed with how they used Storm. You know, not that she should have been OP, even though I'm a stan of Storm now, 9 weeks later. So I want to see everything Storm. But it was really well done. The writing was cool. It was corny here and there, but that's the 90s. It had some silly jokes, which is another thing that kind of irks me with people, not with these properties, where people don't like jokes in the MCU. But there were some really corny jokes in this series, like when you should not be joking. But people love it because I feel like it's not recency bias when people will say, like, this is the greatest thing Marvel ever did. I think it's more animation bias, because I personally feel like animation is a medium that fits comic book movies and shows perfectly, because at the end of the day, comics are animation. So you're just taking it from still animation to moving animation, and you could do anything pretty much. And people look past it, like silly things or things that defy like logic or science. Sort of like in Across the Spider-Verse, another great movie. But there are things in there that if it happened in live action, you would be like, that kind of doesn't make sense. And the one example I have is when Miles was fighting Spot and his dad falls off the scaffold. He basically, from what looks like 100 feet or more, whips him by his back onto a platform. Looks cool in animation. We saw what happened when Andrew Garfield tried to save, what's her name, Gwen Stacy. He broke her back because you can't do that. It's physically impossible to whip someone, swing them around on their feet. So it works in animation and it looked amazing. But if that was live action, I probably would have been like, that is kind of weird to me to happen. So again, I love live action. I love animation. It's all cinema. I just think you could get away with a lot more when it comes to comic book movies in the medium of animation because it is animated. What else is there to say? I don't know. I can't talk enough about Mr. Sinister. Man, oh man. I'm kind of happy that I haven't seen him in live action and that I don't think they've used him because I think, don't correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like he could be a villain that could lead up to someone else, kind of like what they're trying to do with Kang, and he's like leading into Secret Wars. I feel like Mr. Sinister could be that. And I don't know if he has to be an X-Men villain or if he can be a villain for like anybody. But in the MCU, if everyone's in the same world or wherever they are in the multiverse and he's just doing messed up shit, then everyone's going to have to come help to defend him or to say defeat him, sorry. Um, it was really crazy at the end. Another thing that was kind of awesome in one respect, but kind of questionable in another because I haven't watched the original, where it was like super convenient that Jean Grey was able to harness the Phoenix Force. Like when obviously they needed her, when the plot needed her to do it, she was able to do it, but she couldn't do it, the entire series. Um, I'm sure that loops back to a plot point that I'm not privy to, so you could let me know in the comments below if that happens often or if it was just coincidental. But I don't hate it. That scene was awesome. She friggin' drained Mr. Sinister's friggin' DNA, aged him like 100 years. Oh man, I guess that means we're not going to see him unless there's like a supervillain who's really good with science and could shoot that DNA back and DH him. Because yeah, I need to see him again for real. He was so cool. I'm still wondering. I'm guessing he's human, not like metal, because he aged obviously. But his voice sounded kind of tinny, almost like Destro in G.I. Joe. Let's see, what else did Jay said? Said I could apply to be able to rent it. Okay, that was about the X Mansion. He forgot 97 existed. The 90s had a knack for creating scary stuff, and I'm here, by the way, just ordering dinner and listening. Yeah, after this, I definitely need to eat something. So yeah, I basically talked about X-Men for 23 minutes. Um, it's gonna be hard, I think. I don't know, not hard to top it. Just depends on how they want to play it. Because again, in live action, a criticism is there's no stakes, no one dies, right? Or if someone does, they come back. Like Loki died, he came back. And people always say that. But in this, they teased that Professor X was dead, but apparently at the end, everyone already knows he wasn't. So I thought he was because I didn't see the 90s animation. So I felt like they were like, oh, he's not dead. Um, who else technically died but didn't die? I think Jean Grey in that big fight when Remy died. Remy, I guess, is gonna stay dead, but I don't know. I highly doubt it since he's a very popular character, and some people have told me there is a story arc where he comes back as, I think, a different character. I'm not too sure, but I doubt he's gonna stay dead. They kind of tease like Magneto was going to kill Wolverine, but obviously he just took the adamantium out, so he's still alive. And you all have told me that that leads into like a really crazy version of Wolverine that has like slower healing power, but he's basically a maniac. That sounds good. Um, but yeah, all in all, X-Men 97 was good. I am looking forward to season two. It was really cool. I hope they figure out a way to kind of like loop the animation into live action. That would be cool if the animated versions were the ones who populated the Marvel live action somehow, kind of like in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness when they went through that animated multiverse. So that they were live action, but when they were in there, they were cartoons. So it would be cool if they're in a cartoon multiverse and they're the ones who get sucked into live action and they have all their original suits and stuff. That would be really, really cool. I would dig it. Let me see something. Who is texting me? Oh, all right. Um, the post-credit scene, I think, was a huge Easter egg for Giant fans, and I didn't understand it. Originally, I thought that when the person was holding the cards, I thought that was a different version of Remy, but apparently that's actually Apocalypse. So that's kind of crazy. And then the group that gets shot into the past, 3000 BC, um, I think that character is also Apocalypse or something, the first mutant. And then the group that gets shot into the future, I believe the theory is that that woman is Scott and Jean Grey's daughter. And then Cable is there as a kid. So that's kind of interesting that it's 3,000 years in the future and Cable is a child there. So, I mean, obviously there's a whole lot of time travel going on and it's confusing and we'll figure it out soon when there's another season. But all in all, I was digging it. I really liked it. I think, yeah, it's probably my first animated any series because I never watched like the Spider-Man ones or the Iron Man ones. I know there's every character I think got their own cartoons, but I wasn't watching that back in those days. Yeah, when that came out, I think I was a mid-teenager, so I don't even think I watched a lot of TV back then. I was mostly playing sports and stuff, but what can you do? It was good. Ah, I guess my other kind of five or six regulars are a little busy today to hop on. Maybe it's a little too early. I don't know. But what else can I talk about? What other news was there? I don't know. Kind of had a big plan to talk about this and then just BS with some people for 30 minutes, but got no one here. It's just me on stage. Hmm. What can I talk about? What else was announced? I mean, we got Agatha All Along was announced coming out, I think, in September. I'm looking forward to that. Not sure how they're going to do that, if it's going to be strictly a story about her, whatever, like five, six, 7 episodes, like episode of the week type thing. I don't think they're gonna loop in any of like MCU stuff. I think it's probably gonna be a self-contained show that just establishes her getting out of her hex so then she could kind of integrate with everyone else in the MCU rather than super cameos. I think that could probably be a good spot somehow. I don't know how they would do it to show us that Scarlet Witch is actually alive and she didn't die. Like she would have to show up at the end or something like that. Or maybe something is happening and she did escape the mountains because I don't think anyone believes that she's dead. And there's a huge threat or like a big magic threat. So she comes back and she's like, all right, I need to like switch you back because we need you to help. Because I don't know if that original hex she put on Agatha was like a timed thing where after a certain amount of time it wears off, or is it like linked to the person where if you die, the magic wears off? Because in Endgame, Doctor Strange did a dead man spell where it didn't matter if he was alive or dead, the spell didn't come off. So since they established that, it would be interesting, but I don't know. It would be kind of crazy if they trolled us in the beginning and they established that Agatha is out because Wanda's dead. People would go ape shit for that. Chris, what's going on? He said, so X-Men's finale, not what I thought it would be. Um, in a good way, in a bad way, in a holy crap way. I know you got here a little late. Basically, the gist of it is I loved this show, and the only real thing that disappointed me was um, how little of Storm we got, basically. Um, and if you watched my reactions every week, you probably heard me talk about it, but I just wanted a little bit more from her because she's such an awesome character. And again, I don't expect her or didn't expect her to be OP. Like, yes, I said if she was fighting, she probably could wipe Bastion on her own. Not that that's what I wanted to see. I just wanted to see her fight. That's it. Chris said Gene and Scott did do that thing where they traveled into the future to meet Nathan as a young boy. They do that in the previous series? Because I know in this one they just sent him to the future, or they sent him, to grow up without them, and then he comes back and he's grown. So you're saying in another story they actually went to the future. So that's the interesting question. Is that boy who was 3000 BC, and the show takes place in 1997. So in whatever universe they're in, 3000 years from 1997, Nathan is only like 10. So that's kind of crazy. Chris said, I think it was different. Their consciousness went into the future, into bodies that were genetically compatible. Ah, okay. All right. So getting back to what I just said, do they establish multiverses in this animation to answer my question about how Nathaniel was only like 10 years old, 3000 years into the future? Because that's just a question I have. And if the answer is multiverse, then yeah, that makes sense. Oh, oh. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Yeah, that was cool. And also, Chris, at the very, very end, the character that was holding Gambit's card with the purple mouth, was that supposed to be Apocalypse? Kira, what's up? Just jumped in and the image froze. I promise. Well, this time I'm not frozen. So I think that this time it might be on your end. Because the last time when something happened, I wasn't able to see myself in OBS or in YouTube Studio. But oh man, I can't wait to see the X-Men in the movies, live action, and this season again. I'm also looking forward to that Spider-Man, what's it called? The animated where it's supposed to be, what's his name? Tom Holland in high school. I think that was supposed to come out this year, but that should be good. What else? What else? What else? I don't know. I just really can't wait. I'm really interested to see who they cast as Storm because I think they need to get close to this version because this version just looked badass, talked badass, just was badass. Chris said, yeah, that's Apocalypse. He brought Gambit into the fold to become one of his horsemen. So you're saying Gambit does come back to life, but now he's like a servant of Apocalypse. That sounds familiar. I think someone mentioned that that was a comic book arc, right? Kira says, wasn't Wolverine a horseman too? I think he was Death. I don't know anything. I have to Google. Excuse me. Now I have the hiccups. I gotta Google this. Apocalypse's horseman. The four horsemen of the I'll put more X-Men because let's see. All right, the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, first mentioned in X Factor number 10, 1986. Let's see. The original four horsemen were all Apocalypse's biological children, whose names reflected their abilities. They resided in a sentient island called Okara. What were their names? Okay. War, famine, hydrokinesis, and pestilence, and death. That's five, right? War, famine, also war, famine, pestilence, and death were his original kids. Then I wish they would just list them. Let's see. This is interesting. Here it mentions the people who were death, because there's been a lot apparently after his biological kids. Death was Angel, Caliban, Wolverine, Professor X, Gambit, Psylocke, Sandjar, Javid, Storm, Banshee, Dakin, Grim Reaper, and Sentry. Famine was Ahab, Sunfire, Jeb Lee. Pestilence was Plague, Caliban, Polaris, oh shit, and Ichizumi. War was Abraham, Kyros, Hulk, oh my god, Deathbird, Gazer, Decimus Furious, and Colossus. So Kira said it started with Angel becoming Archangel due to Apocalypse saving him after his wings needed to be amputated. Chris says, oh yeah, Polaris even became a horseman and she took over the role of Pestilence. This is friggin' nuts. There's a lot of lore. Like, just reading this Wikipedia about the horseman and Apocalypse, I can understand why people were disappointed with the live action Apocalypse. Because I feel like he probably should have been the X-Men movies Thanos rather than a one movie villain. Chris said, yes, Sunfire, he's such an underused mutant. That was cool because I never even knew about him until this, and he has some really cool powers. Him and Jubilee together were cool. That was a really cool pair. Kira said, I'll tell you, you need a secretary to keep track of comics on a regular basis. Man, imagine me, I think it was 2017 or 18, I wanted to start reading comic books. And at that time, whatever the run was for like Doctor Strange, I started. Ant-Man, I think it only ran like 13 issues, but I started it. Like it was so hard because I would get the ones that were out and then like, oh, we don't make this one anymore. So you have to get like the second run of it. I would go to like every comic book store, try to find it, couldn't find it, had to order it online. It was crazy. I had a good amount though. I read like Civil War II, Doctor Strange. I was reading Ant-Man. I was reading Punisher. What else was I reading? I had a lot. It was fun, but it was expensive. Really expensive. So let's see. Apocalypse is Ensabamner. And Apocalypse is the first mutant, right? Supervillain appearing in American comic books. He's one of the world's first mutant. Okay, so one of. Chris said, hope the comments haven't been too toxic. I didn't really know how to comment on your last X-Men video. Need time to think. They haven't been toxic. I mean, it's different when I'm watching a show and then after it I'm immediately talking about it. Then I have time to sit and think about what I said, and it might have come across not the way I wanted it to. Like I said, I was just unhappy with how Storm was used, and I may have stated or come across that I wanted her to be the one to just defeat everyone by herself, when in reality, my frustration was just basically saying, like, I think if need be, she could wipe the floor with Bastion on her own. I just wanted her to be more involved, just because from episode one, I just came to like really like that character. She just stood out to me as a leader. So I was like really disappointed when she was the one who had to lose her powers, and then she came back and didn't really do nothing. So it just was a disappointment for me in a show that was really, really good. That's all. So no one's been too toxic. Somebody on Twitter, I think, mentioned, kind of took me out of context. Like when I said she could defeat them all, someone basically was like, what fun would that be? Like, I don't want to see her do it. I just think she could. Chris said it's a shame they wasted Oscar Isaac on the next Men Apocalypse movie. After Ex Machina and Dune, he's too talented. Yeah, that was not good. And I love Oscar Isaac. And I know not everyone wants to do comic book movies, but I love seeing actors have fun. And a lot of times that's what these movies are for. When you have someone who's like a really good actor, it's like I'm gonna get paid a lot of money and I could have some fun. So I would love to see him back. Definitely. Honestly, as someone who knew nothing about Apocalypse really, when I watched XM Apocalypse, even I was disappointed because I got the sense that Apocalypse was not just like an everyday villain. I was like, this dude is, I feel like he might be, is he more powerful than Thanos without the stones? Like, he could be, right? Kira said, I also mentioned how good the music was in X-Men 97, the songs they chose. They did choose a lot of good music. They must have had to pay a lot of money. And the good thing that I liked is the music was kind of hidden in the background. A lot of shows when they use and they pay for music, like they want you to hear it, and you can hear it above everything else. But like in the last episode, they used Turn, I think. I don't remember the title, but it just like it fit perfectly. Like the music was just loud enough that you could hear it, and it fit perfectly with the scene that it kind of like pulled me into it. And I don't say that often because there aren't many things in shows and movies when I'm watching that I get distracted by, or a lot of people they'll say, "Oh, this happened and it pulled me out of the movie." Like that doesn't happen to me at all usually. So for this to like pull me like even more into the show was crazy because usually that doesn't happen. Like I'll just hear the song and I'll be like, "Oh, that's pretty cool," but like I felt like I was there. Kira said, "Flying Purple People Eater" is now on my Spotify. Oh man, that's a song that I remember from my childhood when I used to drive with my dad and he'd have the oldie station on. So Chris or Kira, is Apocalypse stronger theoretically or more powerful or higher on the totem pole than Thanos would be without the gauntlet? I feel like he probably is. Let's see if I got any note tips. I don't think so. But I'm just on Apocalypse's Wikipedia. Shiro, what's up? What have I missed? Are we spilling tea? No tea so far. We're just talking about X-Men 97 um, in general, like how much I liked it, and the one thing that kind of just had me a little sad. Um, but that's about it. They've been schooling me on Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen and all that stuff. So now I'm just trying to figure out one, if I wasn't talking to my echo. Yeah, if Apocalypse is the strongest or one of, and if he really is the first mutant. And how I really love that teaser at the end where they were showing that it looks like he was about to turn Gambit into one of his four horsemen. But I don't think we got much tea today. But how's your day going? Ba-doop boop. Oh, I'm getting hungry. So Kier said, I think Thanos and Apocalypse would be evenly matched. Is that with the full Infinity Gauntlet or without? Because if they're even, and that's pretty damn strong, then when they do whatever their next phase is, like not the multiverse saga, because I still don't even know who the main villain of this is supposed to be. I don't know if they're going to use Kang anymore, and I wouldn't want to waste Apocalypse since we're like halfway through. So whenever we do the next one, when we get mutants and we get the Fantastic Four, Damn, they could do a lot. They could have Doom and Apocalypse at the same time. Sheer has a migraine from heck. uh, I really appreciate you hopping on. I don't want you to like not be able to sleep tonight. Kira said, I wouldn't think so. Thanos with the gauntlet can change it. Oh, that's true. That's true. That makes sense. Um, what, and I don't know if I'm making this up, but what is that comic book arc? Because I know Doctor Doom is bad for the most part, but isn't there like a certain time where something even worse happens that he has to like help the good guys? Is that because of Apocalypse or something else? Or am I just making shit up again? But I kind of feel like I've read something where every now and again, like he has to work with the heroes. Because that'll be cool. Like if we have a phase where all these villains of all these movies don't die. They're all like really powerful and however they want to write it. And then at the end we get like apocalypse of someone, and then all the villains are like, all right, we need to like stop fighting for a second after we defeat Apocalypse, then we could start whooping each other's ass again. Chris said Doctor Doom sided with the heroes during Onslaught, which might come into next season due to what Xavier did. Um, the thing where he shot them into the past and the future, or just when he messed with Magnus's head. Magnus, man, Magneto. It's it's funny how he can what he wants basically with like mutants being above humans. Like literally, if he wanted it, he could do it because his powers are crazy. It's amazing that he's so like I just won't do it, you know? Like there's always Charles in his head that stops him, but if he could go to one of the poles and basically shoot his power through the entire earth, he could pretty much do whatever he wants, I feel. But then he'd be a super villain because I don't know. And also, I don't think he would do it that way because of his past and how he grew up. He would basically be turning into like the oppressor. Chris said, when Xavier dove himself into Magnus's mind, something happens that taints his psyche. Not sure if 97 will go there though. Um, so many people have said this season is actually right based off of a story. So hopefully, if it's like a really good story and that's where that story went, that they do it because it doesn't seem like they're scared to take risks. Shearer said, yeah, without a magnetic field, Earth is screwed and not in a good way. It's like scary. So, I mean, that's why it's always nice to have Professor X there. Because, like, I don't know, I feel like those are the two things that hold Magnus back from being like 100% a villain is Charles and him, losing his parents in the Holocaust, stuff like that. Like, he witnessed that. Like, he would never want to become, like I said, the oppressor. Kira said, haha, Chris, taint. I love my friends. You guys are great. Chris said, I'm 100% right. They counterbalance each other. I feel like, and again, based off of just this season, Professor X is like is more to the side of, I don't know a better phrase, goody two shoes than Magnus is to villain. So like if there's a middle, I think Magnus might be like halfway there, but I think Professor X is like all the way over here to me anyway. Like he never wants to do anything, like everything has to be by the book, it seems like, or um, always trying to help somebody. even though according to this season, like Charles never does anything right. It's like it always something happens. Like, oh, we got to do it this way, and it doesn't work. You know, it's funny, but again, that's all I really have to base it on. Shira said she found out that Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 is on both PS4 and 2. I didn't know the newer system was backwards compatible. Well, if they have it as a digital game, I could probably download it on my PS5 because you could play PS4 games on that. Shira said, not sure if I followed my message to you. Oh, I think you told me it was mobile. I think you said it was, I asked, I believe. I was like, oh, is that PC? And I think you said, oh, it's on mobile too. But if it's on PS4, then I could definitely check that out. Damn, everyone's saying the game is good. Marvel. I wonder if that's the. I did play one game, a Marvel. I can actually see because if I have it downloaded, then it'll show as that I had downloaded it. So let's see. Ultimate Alliance. Oh, it's not mobile. Unless I spelled it wrong. Let's see. Marvel game. Contest of Champions, Strike Force, Future Fight. I know I played one of these games. Hmm. Maybe it was Future Fight. Chris said, sadly, it's not PC or mobile. It's a good game for its time. There was something that I played, I remember, only for a little while, but I know I leveled up pretty quickly. Kira said X-Men Legends 1 and 2 are pretty good too. They became the template for Ultimate Alliance. Chris said now they just need to bring Power Pack into the MCU. Power Pack, let me see this. Is that a character or something else? I'm Googling it. All right, here we go. Power Pack is a superhero team consisting of 4 young siblings. Who are they? Alex Power, Julie Power, Jack Power, Katie Power. Hence the Power Pack. Who are their parents? They're a team. I mean, if they're doing Young Avengers, what it looks like they're doing, might as well bring some Power Pack. Let's see. I'm trying to read through this quick, but it doesn't look like their parents are heroes, just the kids. It says, unlike superheroes such as Spider-Man or Batman, who were orphaned free agents or teenagers often trusted to be on their own without supervision, Power Pack was made up of pre-adolescent siblings who had a close relationship with each other, as well as their supportive parents, Jim and Maggie. Chris said they were friends with the X-Men. It's just the kids. That's funny. Oh my God. Are there any Marvel heroes where the parents and the kids are both heroes? I'm trying to think. Like I know there's siblings, Johnny, wait, is not Johnny, Johnny Storm and Sue Storm, right? Siblings have powers, but are their parents? Shira said, can you imagine that? Mom, Dad, we're going out to save the world. We'll be back before dinner. It would almost be like The Incredibles if the parents had powers. And I know the Incredibles are kind of like the Fantastic Four anyway. What is this? The Return of Power Pack. Oh, that was 2007. End of the series was, doesn't have a year. So many, like you said, there's so many comics and heroes. I just, going back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I just really wish they would bring Robbie Reyes, same actor, back in. He was so good. And it would be cool if they did Johnny Blaze and did have Nicolas Cage portray him. Because I know, I mean, it doesn't matter really how old Johnny Blaze is. Once they get to Ghost Rider, it's CGI anyway. So that would be cool if they started and passed it on. That would be neat. Doo-doo. Kira said the Fantastic Four. Franklin is Sue Reed's son. Oh, Franklin. Franklin Richard. He's the one that's in the. Is Frank? Oh, I keep asking this. I'm an idiot. Franklin's not Kang, right? That's just a future Reed. So Franklin is a hero in the future? Let me see. Franklin is the son of, oh, is the son of Reed and Sue. Okay. Okay. Son of Reed and Sue of the world-renowned Fantastic Four. Oh, okay. So, okay. I was thinking like One Track Mind. Do any of the Fantastic, like if their parents, I wasn't thinking of current popular heroes having kids that they're kids now. So that's pretty cool, actually. Chris said Ghost Rider was so well done in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I like the car version rather than Nick Cage's crazy version. Oh, It's it was really cool, but I know they said they basically spent all the money that they had. That's the only reason he was only allowed to be in like what was it, 6 episodes or 8 episodes? Because it would have been really expensive, but it was dope. Shearer said, we're also throwing out info like crazy to you, so no worries. It's cool. But yeah, I just want to know again which Richards is Kang. Nathaniel Richards. All right. So, Kang was but from Reed Richards' father, Nathaniel. So, Kang. See, I guess this is why it confuses me when I read like comic book stuff and movie stuff. But I thought that they said that Kang was Reed Richards of the future, but he's not. All right. I'll need some answers on this one. Kang the Conqueror. Yeah, that one says Nathaniel Richards as well. So Franklin is the son. The hell is Nathaniel Richards? So many Richards is. So he's a time traveling scientist. Yes. He's the father of Mr. Fantastic. All right. So Kang is a future version of Mr. Fantastic's dad who comes back. And who is Iron Lad? I'm asking myself a lot of stupid questions. Iron Lad is also Nathaniel Richards as a child. Okay, so in the comics or whatever, Reed's dad in the future, who is still a kid, comes back to fight with the Young Avengers. There's a lot. Once it happens in the movies, I'll get it. I'll get it for sure. There's just a lot going on, and I really am looking forward to like all the young characters because I think that's going to be cool and refreshing. But yeah, Jesus, so much stuff. All right. Chris said, I think so. I've forgotten decades of comics. Yeah, that's why I really have Google up right now. There's too many characters. And when it comes to like time travel and multiverse travel, it is confusing. But oh, I will also say about X-Men 97. I mean, I knew Cable from Deadpool, the movie. Um, Josh Brolin, that was really, really cool. But I never knew who Bishop was. Bishop is a dope ass character too. So I can't wait to see Bishop in the MCU. Whoops, I put Bishop. So he is Lucas Bishop, a character here in the Marvel. Creation. During an interview, discuss the creation. Oh, this is just Visually Bishop was by John 4 Days. Okay. Is he related to anyone? He debuted in 1991. Okay. Oh, biography. Born 80 years in the future. He was raised in a mutant concentration camp in the aftermath of the Summers Rebellion. Damn. He has a distinctive M brand over his right eye. I didn't even catch that. I did not. Kira said, I wonder what will happen with Kang in the MCU now that we lost the actor. Was he sidelined totally? They're really doing. This is funny because the past few years they had been horrible with spoilers, like characters, and even the Spider-Man movie. Everyone knew Tobey Maguire was going to be in it. Like they were really bad. But it seems like for a year now they've been actually really good. So they really haven't said anything. I don't think they're bringing Jonathan Majors back. It's a shame that he is that kind of person because, a lot of times a lot of people are not great people and they're just like okay and you're like, "Oh, we could replace him." It just sucks that uh, he to me anyway, I know you could recast, but I don't know if you could replace him as Kang. He was just a really good actor, so it's really unfortunate that he was an abuser. But the good thing is, anyone could be Kang with variants. So I'm sure they will recast him because I feel like that was going to be a really good storyline. I just also feel like it was taking a little bit too long, but maybe like COVID messed with that because they had to cancel projects. So we got like a year and a half with nothing, I think. So I don't know. It would be hard to like retcon what already happened. Um, the one thing you could say is Kang, like to us, visually has never done anything on Earth. He did something in the TVA and he did something in the quantum realm. So, yeah, COVID did throw everything into chaos. So it is kind of crazy. But I mean, once you see Scott Lang again, is he not going to mention Kang? You know, you kind of have to. And he was in Loki season two. So something's got to happen. I guess we'll see. There's just a lot of stuff that I just want to see. Like, obviously, I can't wait to see what Deadpool and Wolverine bring to the table as far as like cameos. Like, I love a good movie. Everyone loves a good movie. I also love a good, fun cameo. Kira said, yeah, Kang mentions that he killed Thor in another multiverse. That's crazy. Yeah, so that would have been such a cool thing to see Kang and Thor and Kang saying something. You know how Chris Hemsworth is. He'd be like, "Nah, you didn't kill me. Like, there's no way you killed somebody else." Like that would have been such good dialogue. But what are you gonna do? What can you do? Yeah. So what do we got this year? We got I think July is Deadpool. September is Agatha. So that's what do we got? We're in May, so 2 months until Deadpool, and then 6 months until Agatha. So we got two more Marvel properties this year. Sheer said he's married, Kira. Well, unless he and the wife are open-minded. Oh my God. I totally forgot what are the MCU movies next year. So next year we're getting, let me see. I don't want to say something that's wrong. All right. Oh, we're actually getting, and this is not Marvel, but we're getting Venom this year. I really enjoyed the Venom movies. We're also getting Kraven the Hunter this year. I know the Sony, most of them aren't great, but I'll see it. I'm digging it. It's in my birthday month. And then next year we get Captain America Brave New World. Cannot wait to see Sam Wilson again. And then we get Thunderbolts in May. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Fantastic Four in July. And then supposedly Blade in November. So we're supposed to get 4 movies. I really hope they announce filming Blade. And then 2026 is Kang Dynasty if they keep the title. And that right now is the only film on the slate for 2026. That's definitely going to change because 2027 is Secret Wars. Let's see. Chris said, I really can't wait until Agatha. Joe Locke from Heartstopper is going to be in that show. Is he? Kira said, YouTube blocked my message about Hemsworth. A letter to the president. Let me see the cast. Agatha all along cast. Oh, the kid who plays Wiccan. Oh, he's playing an older one. Oh, that's not the same kid. Because the kids who played the kids, they're not really like little kids anymore. I guess this Joe Locke is probably in his 20s. And yeah, those kids aren't. But I'm really looking forward to seeing, obviously, Agatha, but Aubrey Plaza as Rio Vidal. Dude, she was probably made for this show. And then we have Patty Lupin is playing Lilia Calderu. They have this kid, Miles Gutierrez, playing Hulkling. Wasn't Hulkling... Oh no, that was Scar. Okay. Then we have Ali An playing someone named Alice. Sashir Zamata playing Jennifer Kale. Deborah Jo Rupp is back as Mrs. Hart. And then, yeah, no one else really on this list. Let's see. People have been saying that X-Men 97 saved Marvel. Was it really doing that bad? Yeah, people just, I don't know. Without going into another hour, this is how I see things. And who am I but a person on the internet? Okay. Marvel was fortunate that everything they were putting out was making $600, $700, $800 million, right? So when a movie comes out like Ant-Man, they say it's a flop. I don't think the problem is the amount of money that it makes. I think the problem is the amount of money that they're spending to make them. Like, if you say, what is a movie that 100% should, and you could pick your range, make between 750 million and $1 billion? Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, and X-Men. Like in that range. What should make over $1 billion? Avengers and Justice League. Those are the only ones to me, or like, Secret Wars, obviously, Avengers, should make over $1 billion. What's a movie that should probably make 400 million? Ant-Man. Like Ant-Man, I think, went over what they were expecting. There's no way you put out an Ant-Man and you say it has to make $650 million. No, I'm sorry. Ant-Man is not that. Ant-Man is a cool character. I love Ant-Man. He's not going to make that much money. So don't spend all that money on it. The Marvels, I think that made less than it should have made. Captain Marvel, I think, one, it was a good movie. Two, we've been waiting for a female-led like MCU movie for a long time. Three, Brie Larson's great. It made $1 billion. Do I think Captain Marvel is a $1 billion franchise? No, I don't, but I think it should have made 500 million, 600. I just think a lot of these movies just made way more than they should have. That people are like, yeah, even Ant-Man needs to make 800 million. Doctor Strange needs to make 800 million. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. Doctor Strange, my favorite character. Are that many people really going out to see that? I don't know, but he's not Spider-Man. Let's see. Aubrey Plaza, my queen. Yes. Jay Hayback, hey, Kira Hulkling is a shape-shifting scroll. Oh, shit. That's interesting. Jay Ghost Rider, sure, well, you're a slightly more famous person on the internet. One day, maybe. Chris said, watching Nicolas Cage channel his inner crazy for Ghost Rider was entertaining, if not comic accurate. Yeah. Sheer said, wait, isn't Hulkling his brother? Oh, wait, who's Speed then? Chris said, you're right. They need to retool Captain Marvel before it could stand on its own. Like, I loved Captain Marvel. It was a really good movie. I loved the second one. I really did. But some franchises aren't what we think they should be. Like, in the beginning, I sound like I'm reading the Bible. In the beginning, everyone knows this, they had no characters. They had to use Iron Man. They had to use Thor. They had to use Captain America. So when us or people who are really hardcore Marvel fans are like, we're getting Marvel movies and this is all we could get and they're good, we're gonna see it. So Iron Man 2 and 3, I think made over $1 billion. Cap, I don't think made more than 600 million, but I feel like that's a lot. Um, but once they got the rights to their quote unquote good characters like Deadpool, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer, I feel like a lot of people now are like, I want to see Doctor Doom. I want to see the Fantastic Four. You've owned them for 5 years, and what are you giving us? You're giving us Ant-Man 3, which I loved. I'm just making a point here. You're already talking about Thor 5, but like we're not getting the Fantastic Four. Like some people maybe are just like, you know what? I'm gonna wait. Like I don't want that. I'll wait until the Fantastic Four come and then I'll get back into it. It's just about the properties that they had, and it's been 18 years, you know? Um, Kira said, in the beginning, my brothers and sisters, there was a Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, I just feel like I can't see, and also it's a double-edged sword because if Marvel and Disney, but Kevin Feige, if they're like we don't know what they're saying. I don't know if Kevin Feige sits at the table and says, "We're gonna make Ant-Man 3. We expect it to make $800 million." Like I don't think he would think that, but I do appreciate that he sits down and says, "We're gonna make Ant-Man 3 and we're gonna invest money like he is an A-list character." Like I appreciate that, but these some of these movies do not need to cost $200 million. Like it's not my money. I'm happy they're spending it, but they don't. Like 120 million is not good enough. But then okay, they're getting A-list actors, you have to pay them. It's crazy. Maybe we just need a DC Crisis on Infinite Earths for Marvel, just wipe the MCU clean. I think that's what Secret Wars is supposed to be, wiping everything clean to get new characters or something like that. But then again, like even though Iron Man wasn't an A-list character, Robert Downey Jr. made him A-list. So if they were like, we're doing Iron Man 4 and we're bringing Robert Downey Jr. back, it'll probably make close to $1 billion. I think that's like the only old property that could do that. I don't think a Captain America is going to make that much. Thor, mm, I mean, Ragnarok had Hulk. I think that helped, even though I thought it was good. And Love and Thunder had the potential of an amazing villain that I don't think they used him very well. But if you think about it, and this is something too that's big, a lot of people say Love and Thunder was a flop. A lot of people say it sucked. A lot of people said it was good. I don't really care what people think about the movie. Love and Thunder was not released in China. If it was, it would have made as much as Ragnarok. So you got to think about that too. Kira said super annoying. Kira says Tom Holland is a dish. He needs to keep that mask on more. I think that might have been the whole point now that we've gone through the Infinity Saga and we learned that that was his one movie origin was, what was it, 5 or 6 years? I think that was it. Because I feel like the way Marvel got him back and threw him into the MCU, there was no way you could do Friendly Neighborhood. And now that they got past that, it's done. They wiped everyone. I think now we'll all get like the Spider-Man who's a little bit older, who's not going to take his mask off every 10 minutes. Kira said, well, just the mask. Oh, I think some tea is being spilt now. Shira said, Love and Thunder was really, really silly but funny. It was. There were things I loved about it. There were things like anything that I didn't, which is fine. Um, but when I watch the movie, I say to myself, from beginning to end, did the story make sense? Like, did they do what they set out to do? Yeah. Was it my favorite? No, it wasn't. Um, I just think like Chris Hemsworth is such a he's so good in that role of comedy, but he's also good in serious because he was good in Thor 1 like before, his character arc tweaked. I do think Thor 4 would have been a perfect time to reset it to be more dark with Gore the God Butcher. Like it was right there. Like it was set up to be super dark. And, they just chose a different direction. So I know they're talking about a fifth one, which I'm not going to say I don't want, but I would love for it to be like opposite. Jason, wait, does COVID give us superpowers? Chris said, Lordy, Kira, someone needs a cold shower. Kira said, hey, you guys get Black Widow to drool over. We get Blue Boy. Oh my God. I mean, it is kind of interesting because I know in media, generally, women are way more sexualized. In the MCU, I mean, every dude had his shirt off. So you guys got a lot of eye candy. Shira said, if it does, Jay, then my whole office is getting superpowers. Oh no. That sucks. That sucks. I actually want to look up real quick who Rio Vidal is. Because I want to see who she's playing in, or if it's a new character. Oh, it looks like a very obscure character. Um, Chris said, do you remember that first time we saw Black Widow kicking butt in that hallway? It was magnificent. It was like everyone says, and I'm not like a genius here, I just go by what I read. That dude that was running Marvel before Kevin Feige just didn't like characters that were not white men, basically, because Black Widow was supposed to have a movie way before she got one. Black Panther was supposed to get a movie way before he got one. And this guy, Ike Perlmutter, was like, oh, women don't sell toys. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but paraphrasing is like, black people won't sell movie tickets or some shit like that. Just not a really good dude. It was crazy. And like Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow was like an OG Avenger. When they did Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Black Widow should have been right there. Like that was a disservice. Totally sucks. But, she got her movie. They did what they could with it. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it kind of sucks that it took so long. Kira said, even with the action figures, we didn't get women heroes for quite a while. Yeah, that's true. It is true. So, yeah, I'm just hoping the new movies and shows just are good. Like, that's all I really ask for is something to be enjoyable and good and make sense. That's all. Kira says, it's a sham, I tell you, down with the Disney Archie. That was good. I got to give you that one. I wish, oh wait, can I like that comment? I don't know if I'm allowed to like a comment. I'm going to try. Can I do it? Oh, it logged me out. That was not good. What if I go here? There we go. That was so crazy. I hit a button on my OBS and it logged me out of the chat. Shira said, can't believe you started over. Damn, the stupid heart is in the way. I gotta put in something here to raise the chat. Move the chat up. All right. Shira said, can't believe you started over 80 minutes ago. Damn, time flies. What do you feel bad about? And you were, I mean, I'm not saying you were late, like, oh, you gotta be here on time, but there's nothing to feel bad about. We're just chatting, having a little fun. I mean, I do have to actually go now that you reminded me what time it is. I gotta make dinner. It kind of, every time I do a stream, it ends with dinner. So I can't be on here all that long. Oh man, I'm getting tired. I also have to put together some food and snacks. Going to the beach tomorrow, so that should be fun. But I guess maybe I won't start a stream at 6 o'clock my time anymore. I think 7 o'clock might have been the sweet spot. Shira said maybe next week we'll have another chat. Oh, for sure next week. For sure. I'm trying to think. It'll probably just be like just literally a chat because I don't think there's anything big releasing, and it's just my dailies of Community, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Rick and Morty, X-Men's done, um, Solo Leveling's done. Three Body Problem is just for my membership tiers, and I only have one member right now, so yeah, we could just have a regular chat. So with that, I bid you adieu. Chris said, whichever. If I see the notification, I'll be there. You're the best, man. I really appreciate you all. So, with that being said, yeah, it is time for dinner. I'll hit you up all later. Oh, one thing I don't even know if you all know, I have a Discord channel. Obviously, it's free. So, if you're not in it, I think the link is in my YouTube description somewhere. Join it. It's kind of fun. It'd be cool, like, because I know I'm not live streaming every day, and I hop into there to see if anyone's online, and if I see you on, we could chat. It'd be pretty cool. Okay. All right. See you all later. Thank you again for hopping on, and next week we'll just spill some tea like we like to do.